This week's Parsha talks about the Ketoret. It actually talks about the altar, the Mizbeach of the Ketoret, which are the incense, the spices. And I find it so fascinating that there's these 11 different types of spices that were used in order to bring an incense offering to Hashem. Most of these spices were sweet, and they were good, and they had a nice smell to them. But there was one that was foul. And you take all this together, all these spices, you take all the times in your life that are beautiful and good, and you see the sweet smelling it, and you also take the time that it's like, you know what, this is really hard, this is challenging, this almost feels foul to me and bitter, and it's not good. We would combine all these things together. We make a mixture and concoction, and what is done with all these spices, they go back to Hashem, which I feel is like almost the Torah is trying to tell us something, which is all the things you're taking in, all the things that you're experiencing with all your senses, including your senses of smell, it all goes back to Hashem, because Hashem is the source of it all. He's the source. He created the foul smell, and He also created all this wonderful, good smelling. And just like this is from Him, this is also for Him. And what can I do? I can take them all together. I can combine them, and I can bring them back up to Him and say, Hashem, I'm giving this back up to you. It's yours. And what was so fascinating about the Ketoret is that it has to do with smell. The sense of smell, how do we do this? With a breath. The word breath in Hebrew, to breathe, is limshom, and the word breath, neshima, is very much related to the word neshama, which is soul. When a person takes a deep breath, what are they doing? They're tapping into their godliness and tapping into their soul. They're tapping into the idea that Hashem Himself created man from the dust of the earth. He formed his body. We're a material being, and then He breathed into man. The breath of Hashem is our soul. That means that every time I take a deep breath, and I'm smelling the sweet, and I'm also smelling the foul or the bitter, and I'm just knowing, and I'm taking a deep breath, and I'm relaxing my body into it, and I'm breathing in this, and I'm offering it back up to Hashem. I'm saying, you know what, Hashem, this is really hard. This is challenging for me. I want to scrunch my nose. And I say, okay, I'm tapping it into that. I'm taking a deep breath, and I'm offering it back to you. And I take all the beauty and all the good and all the sweets and all the delicious smelling things, and I take a deep breath in, and I also tap into my soul, and I say, oh wow, this is so nurturing. And Hashem, I'm also back. I'm giving this back to you with gratitude. I take this and I take it like this. I bind it all together and I offer it back to Hashem. I take a deep breath and I tap into my body and I tap into my soul. I'm telling you, it makes the foul smelling a little bit easier. And it also makes us appreciate the wonderful smelling things that are in our life. With that, we're just going to tap into this idea that if you can close your eyes and you tap into those moments where they seem difficult, they seem like that foul smell, and you breathe it in, and then now you can hold that breath, knowing that I don't have to rush to the next breath, but I can hold it for 1 minute, the foul smelling, and then now I can slowly start to exhale it out to Hashem. And I can also take in the sweet smelling, all those spices and all those times in my life that, yes, I have gratitude and appreciation. I want to hold them, I want to take them and take a deep breath, nurture my neshama, and then I also offer that back to Hashem. You can feel your body getting into a very deep relaxation and getting into a sensation of tapping into that my godliness is my ability to take a deep breath, even at times to hold it, to be with it, and then to exhale it back to Hashem. Taking deep breaths once again, mixing them all together, the foul and the sweet, and offering it back to Hashem. Which reminds me of a story that I read actually today, Rav Biederman, that he said that it was an idea that was brought down, that there was a boy, there was a young man, and he was having a really hard time. And he felt like everything was bitter to him. And he went to his mentor, his teacher, and he said, he was starting to complain, and the teacher said, wait a minute, can I offer you a cup of water? And he gave him a half a cup of water, and he put in a tablespoon of salt. And the boy's like, I'm not going to drink this, it's very bitter. So the teacher said, wait a minute, will you come with me? There's a river over there, I want us to go to the river. So he sees the river, and the river is flowing with water, lots of water. And then the teacher pours in a tablespoon of salt in the river, takes a cup, and he gives a cup of water to the boy, to the young man. And the man drinks it. He says, wait a minute, I don't understand. That water in the small, half a cup with a tablespoon of salt, you wouldn't drink it. But I put the exact same amount of salt into the river and you're drinking this water. So the boy says, yeah, of course. Here I taste it so much, it's so bitter. But there, it's in this big river with lots of flowing water. Like I can't even taste it. So he says it's the same thing. The Ketoret was one foul-smelling. There was a very small amount of foul-smelling spice, but it was amongst a lot of really sweet ones. And I think this is a very important lesson for us. That if we think we're so limited that we're only seeing the half a cup, and always the half a cup is empty, not even a half a cup full. And not only that, we're just in this situation where we just feel stuck, contained inside a cup, and then we're adding so much bitter to it. It's going to be so hard to overcome those challenges. It's so hard to see positivity. But yet, if we're looking for ways, we're opening our eyes to expand the sweetness, to expand and make ourselves into like a flowing water that can go with things and that can be carried away with things and also knows how to, and how to rock and how to ride the waves and how to take the things that happen to us and just go with it. And also not to ignore them, but not to be overwhelmed by them, not to be consumed by them, not to be overtaken by them, just to have them be a little bit incorporated into us, and then from there we grow. It makes a huge difference in our lives. It makes it easy that we can take these deep breaths because we're not so overwhelmed with the bitterness, and yet the bitterness is just one small part of it because we're opening our eyes to all the sweet waters that is around us. Shabbat Shalom.